Natsuhi です。開けてください。
Thunberg Lily. You know, the more I hear the songs of Umineko, the more I'm able to recognize which song's which by the first note. I knew this was Thunberg Lily by the first note of the song. Yeah, Umineko's soundtrack is pretty amazing, and many times they play it throughout the game, it gets to the point where you're able to recognize each and every soundtrack by the first note. Natsuhi yelled as she knocked loudly and repeatedly. Shortly after, there was a heavy clunking sound, and the sound of the door to Kinzo's study unlocking could be heard. As the door opened, a heavily sweet, venomous odor flowed out. Natsuhi was always ashamed of how she automatically grimaced at that, even though she thought it roots the family had. Krauss was waiting for her inside the study. Natsuhi flew into his arms. Oh my god, wait, is this the moment where they found Kinzo dead? Oh my god, wait, when is this taking place? Hold on. When is this taking place? Oh. It's not gonna say. Hold on. There we go.
落ち着きたまえ。今、南條先生が見ている。
With an uncertain gait, Natsuhi went towards the center of the study, supported by Krauss. What's the verdict? What's the verdict, Nanjo? There, a dignified bed fitting for the head of the Ushiromiya family could be seen, along with Nanjo, Genji, and Kumasawa.
Nanjo sensei. Otou-sama.
After sighing deeply, Nanjo left the side of the bed. On the bed, Kinzo could be seen lying down, sleeping.
大往生だ。
Rose.
金蔵さんも心残りはなかっただろう。
Sobbing, Natsuhi put her head against the chest of the man who had fallen into a sleep from which she would never awaken.
奥様、どうかしっかり。お父様、お父様、こんな突然だって。
Natsuhi couldn't stop her tears over the death of Kinzo, whom she had loved like a second father. Kumasawa rubbed Natsuhi's back, consoling her. Krauss slumped into his late father's favorite chair. By sitting there, he might have been immersing himself in memories of his departed father. Or perhaps he thought that by sitting there, he might be able to understand just a bit of the madness of Kinzo's later years, which had eluded him to the end of his father's life. Nanjo turned his back and looked down over the outside world through a crack in the curtains. It was the same thing he'd often done when Kinzo sat in that chair, contemplating a chess move.
同じ死ぬならせめて寝込んで1年後に死亡とか。
Oh, wait, was it a sudden death?
もう少ししかるべき準備の猶予期間を設けてから死んで欲しかったのね。
So it was a sudden death. He wasn't sick, he just died.
それは逆だ。最後の瞬間までお元気だったことを喜ぶべきです。建前上はそうなるがね。
Nanjo understood that as well. This was the death of Ushiromiya Kinzo, a man who had risen like a comet and glittered like a supernova in the post-war world of business. His funeral would probably be of a fantastic scale, and it would also be the ceremony marking Krauss's inheritance of the headship. He would have to arrange everything as the host of the event, carry out funeral diplomacy perfectly, and make it clear that the Ushiromiya family would still hold enormous influence in the political and financial spheres. As Nanjo watched Krauss, he was vividly reminded of the time when Kinzo had been suddenly selected as the Ushiromiya family head. A time in which Kinzo had been lost and confused. Nanjo could remember that well, and for that reason, he was able to understand Krauss's distress and sympathize with it. Natsuhi's sobs eventually subsided. Seeing this, and leaving Kumasawa to care for Natsuhi as a fellow woman, Genji returned to Krauss. And he lowers his head slightly, as though asking what should be done.
手続き等は私と源氏さんでやろう。クラウスさんはまずは親戚の方々に連絡した方がいいでしょうな。
Krauss, with his hand still over his eyes, didn't respond. Perhaps even though he had known this day would come, Krauss really couldn't hide his shock at how suddenly it had reached them.
私と南條先生にお任せを。旦那様はまずは奥様とご相談いただくのが良いかと思います。
Maybe she heard that, or maybe it was a coincidence. As though responding to Genji's words, Natsuhi came over. Her eyes were red from crying so much, but she apparently understood the heavy responsibility that had been imposed on the two of them even better than Krauss did.
これからはあなたが栄光ある後ろ宮家の当主です。お父様の後を立派に継いだことを内外に示しましょう。この夏日、あなたの妻として棺を並べる日までお仕えする覚悟です。
Trying to encourage her husband, who was overcome with shock, Natsuhi lent him some reassuring words. When Krauss finally lowered the hands that had been covering his face, he looked up at the ceiling with a blank expression and let out a deep, deep sigh.
どうかしっかり。お父様の残したものを食い荒らそうと目論む輩が大勢いるのですよ。私たちはお父様の名誉と財産を守るために戦わなければなりません。それが後宮家当主の最初の仕事ですよ。
分かってる。分かっているとも。
南條先生と源氏はお役所や葬儀業者への手配をお願いします。特に源氏、お父様の葬儀にふさわしいものとなるよう特に手配を頼みますよ。
かしこまりました。
それから南條先生、お父様は病院でお亡くなりになったわけではないので、
場合によっては解剖が入るかもしれませんな。
Really? Well, okay, that does make sense for an autopsy since it wasn't in a hospital and he wasn't sick prior to his death, so... Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
なんとかなりませんか。亡くなったとはいえ、お父様の大切なお体です。傷をつけるなど耐えられることではありません。
気持ちはわかる。だが、そういうところをきっちりすることも大切だ。それにこう言ってはなんだが、難しい親族の方々が多いんじゃないかね。
Yeah, that's also very true. There has to be an autopsy because, well, there's an inheritance at stake. People might be suspicious of his death. There was no way to know what those inheritance vultures might try to... I'm gonna repeat that. There was no way to know what those inheritance vultures might try to find fault with. They might squawk that there was something suspicious about the cause of death, and use that as a point of contention to start some trouble. Right now, not only was it important to pay Kinzo's remains the respect they were due, but there was also a need to focus on solidifying the position of the new family head, Krauss.
わかりました。必要最小限にお願いします。間違ってもお父様の威厳が損なわれるようなお姿にしないように。
That gets me to wondering, how did Kinzo die? Like, yes, he died peacefully in his sleep, but yeah, something must have failed. But what failed to, lead to his death? Yeah, I honestly am kind of curious. Like, what exactly caused his death? I'm curious. I don't think it was murder, though. I don't think it was murder, because that would be a little bit more obvious, but how did Kinzo die? Like, he was really old, so it must be something like a bodily function failing and then he died while sleeping. Which is very common in old people. But still. Interesting. It might have been an aneurysm too, since it was so sudden. Yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking of this right now, but I'm curious. What is the exact, diagnosis of his cause of death? Well, that can only be found in an autopsy, so there's no way of asking Nacho right now because he's just confirming that he's dead. He doesn't know how he died, but he just confirmed it.
それは大丈夫だ。安心しなさい。とにかく金蔵さんのことはわしらに任せて、夏日さんはクラウスさんのそばにいてあげなさい。これからが大変なんだから。
分かっています。あなたもどうかしっかり。
Krauss was still staring lazily at the ceiling, with a befuddled expression on his face. Natsuhi understood the shock and heavy responsibility. She felt that she understood her husband's feelings as well as anyone possibly could.
親族への連絡は私がします。今だけは休まれてください。
Krauss didn't respond. Natsuhi thought that he was being a little bit weak, but that just made it all the more important for her to support him right now. Seeing her husband like this actually stirred Natsuhi up, and a resolute expression rose to her face.
これから忙しくなります。今できることを始めましょう。夫はきっとお父様と二人きりで話したいこともあると思います。私たちは一度ここを退出しましょう。
そうでございますね。その時間はきっと今しか取れないでしょうから。
Being in charge of a funeral is tiring work. There is no time to shed tears. If Krauss were ever to be given time to cry for his dead father, that time would have to be now. Everyone agreed with Kumasawa's words. Even then, Krauss continued to lazily gaze up at the ceiling, and didn't respond in any way. Natsuhi urged the servants to go.
私はジェシカにも話してきます。今やあの子が次期当主です。それにふさわしい自覚を持つようによく言い聞かせなくては。
待て。
Oh. As they each started to make their way out of the study, Krauss finally spoke. Oh, wait a second. Okay, we might be getting to the reason why they had a fake father's death. Oh, this is interesting. They stopped walking.
はい
待て。
はい
Hadn't she already stopped walking? Just like her husband had asked? But despite that, he had once again told her to wait. From those slightly weak words, Natsuhi understood that he had probably stopped her because he wanted her to be by his side.
お前たちは下へ。私は夫と言います。何かあったらここに電話するように。
かしこまりました。だから待てと言っている。
Those are big letters. At death's door. Oh, here we go. When Krauss suddenly raised his voice, everyone jumped and turned around. Unable to comprehend what she had done to spark her husband's wrath, Natsuhi ran up to her.
どうしましたあなた。私は何か失礼なことを口にしてしまいましたか。だったらお許しを。
いや、違う。そうじゃない。そうじゃない。少し待て。時間をくれ。
ええ、わかっています。心を整理するためにも必要です。私たちはその時間をあなたにあげようと、ここから静かに出ていくだけですよ。
だからそれを待てというのだ。いいか、誰もその場から動くな。一歩たりともだ。疲れたなら椅子にでもソファーにでも好きに座ればいい。だから何も喋らずに静かに黙って何もせずにいろ。
Those unreasonable words felt like a glimpse of how Kinzo used to be. Natsuhi couldn't hide a slight surprise at those words, which made it seem as though Kinzo had possessed her husband. Natsuhi told the servants to wait for the time being. She'd ordered them to sit in a sofa a short distance off, approached her husband, and spoke to him in a small voice.
あなたがお命じになれば、夏日はいくらでも待ちます。とどまります。ですからどうか、お気を鎮められてください。
違う。そうではないのだ。そうではないのだ。
Spit it out, dude. Spit it out. Was it really his father's blood? Or was he actually being possessed? Krauss's disorderly style of speech strongly resembled Kinzo's. As she watched this, Natsuhi felt with even greater certainty that Krauss was indeed Kinzo's son, and that he was the true successor to the head, more suitable than any other person.
Natsuhi.
The casual slide.
こっち。
Krauss stood up and headed towards the window, trying to lengthen the distance between himself and the servants waiting on the sofa by even a small amount. Natsuhi realized that he must have something secret that he wanted to talk about.
はい、あなた。何事ですか？
親父に死なれてはまずいのだ。
And why would that be, Krauss?
しかし、もうお亡くなりになりました。そういうわけには参りません。
そうじゃない。今はまずいんだ。
What?
どういうことですか？
親父の財産を担保にしている。
Oh my god.
相続問題になれば隠しをせない。
Happy Maria, instrumental. Damn it, Krauss!
担保ですか？いかほど？
メロディーランドの時、近藤君を応援したことがあっただろう。
Melody Land?
あの方とは縁を切れと申し上げたじゃありませんか。私には断ったと言ったはず。どうして。
男の義理というものがある。断れなかった。
Krauss. Oh my god. Oh my god. So, from what I'm seeing right here, this might be proven wrong, but this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting from this slime right here. I was right. I was right about Krauss fucking embezzling Kinzo's money, and once Kinzo died, he had continued on embezzling or something. Krauss got into a financial situation, and now he is going to, you know, fake his father being alive so that he can embezzle to get out of a financial situation before, you know, telling everyone that his dad's dead. Oh my god. I was right! I was actually right. Oh my god. As soon as Krauss said, I kind of put her dad's money on collateral. God damn it, Krauss! God damn it! How am I not mad at you, though? Like, I'm just flat out disappointed. Krauss' claim to hold honor has a virtue. However, Natsuhi knew that he most often used this as an excuse after he couldn't bring himself to pass up a deal.
お金に余裕があるならいざ知れず。この島のリゾート計画でかなりの借金をされたのではありませんでしたか。
ああ、したさ。方々で恩人に世話になったのだ。それらを返済するためにも座しているわけにはいかない。返済するためには金がいる。金を生むためには金がいる。金がなければ始まらない。この島の計画だって企画会社がおかしなことにならなければ順調だったのだ。都の役人とも連携は取れていた。東京都の新しい観光スポットになると知事の太鼓判ももらえていた。私の根回しは完璧だったのだ。たまたま巡り合わせとタイミングが悪かった。ちょっとした運のすれ違い、事故みたいなものだった。
あれは事故なんかではありません。詐欺です。あなたは騙されたのです。初めから彼らはこの島のリゾート計画など描けていなかったのです。
そんなことはないぞ。土方君のビジョンは先見性にあふれていた。世界と未来に目を向けた広大な視野は私が夢だと信じていたものなど猫の額ほど広さしかないことを教えてくれた。
I actually really do feel bad for Krauss. Like, no matter how many times I'm gonna say that he's an idiot, I do actually honestly feel bad for him. I do honestly feel bad for him.
夢が広がる。世界に未来に。夏日も一緒に聞いていただろう。
ええ、聞いていました。そしてお帰りになられた後に申し上げたはずです。あの方はうさんくさい。語るのは未来ばかりで地に足がついていない。これ以上お付き合いしてはならないと。
土方君は立派な好青年だ。彼の生き様からは学ぶことも多いぞ。彼は若いが尊敬できる。
Oh god, Krauss!
彼のことを侮辱することは許さんぞ。
Krauss, stop! You just got conned! You got conned! God damn it, Krauss!
あなたは同じことを月旅行の時にもおっしゃいました。
What? What?
先見性がある、未来がある、夢があると連呼され、その挙句
Oh god, come fucking on! Come fucking on! Please don't tell me he fell for fucking moon tourism. You kept saying it was visionary, that it looked to the future, that it had high aspirations. God damn it. God damn it, Krauss! Krauss! Come on! The thing about moon tourism, now that I'm thinking about it would have definitely worked if he, invested in it in 2020. where we have SpaceX and the Dear Moon project going on right now. Yeah, we have an actual, thing for moon tourism being in the works right now. So it makes sense to possibly look into more moon tourism now in the 2020s, even though it's still very risky because we have not even tried, doing something with the moon for like decades now. Like, we haven't been to the moon in decades, and the Dear Moon project with SpaceX, like, that's our closest, thing to a new, mission towards the moon to see, well, if moon tourism could be a thing. But what year does Umineko take place in? 1986. It's 1986.
荒唐無稽な話だったとあなた自らがお認めになったではありませんか。私はNASA の高官とか名乗るおかしな男が現れた頃からこれは絶対におかしいと確信しておりました。
In episode 1, I thought you were a douchebag. In episode 1. Krauss, I thought you were just a douchebag. But as these episodes go on, turns out you're not a douchebag or a jerk. You're just an idiot. Like, I could respect you for feeling bad for what you did with your siblings in the past. But, come on, dude, I want to root for you so badly, but come on! Who in the fuck falls for that? Like, I respect you for being visionary. And, wanting to look into the future for the projects you invested. But my fucking god! You're an idiot! You are an absolute idiot! I can't even express how disappointed I am in you right now.
あれはあの外国人が国際的な詐欺師だったに過ぎない。あの件については私も曽根崎氏も被害者だ。彼の先見性は今をもって間違っていない。将来必ず世界の大企業が宇宙旅行をたしなむ時代が訪れる。
He's still in on the idea of moon tourism!
そしてその最初の事業は民間1社によって独占されるだろう。
I mean, the weirdest thing is, he's not wrong, technically.
着眼点は間違っていない。それを利用して世界中の投資家を騙している国際的な詐欺集団がいて。
Okay, I'm just gonna point this out now. What he's saying is technically correct. It's going on right now. With what I just mentioned with SpaceX and the Dear Moon project. But goddamn it, Krauss, it's the 1980s. Krauss!
曽根崎という男もその一味だったと申し上げているのです。あなたはどこまでお人よしなのですか。どうしていつもうさんくさい話を疑いもせずに乗ってしまうのですか。
訂正しろ。曽根崎氏は優秀な未来ある男だ。うさんくさくなどない。彼の語る夢は未来を先取りしているからこそ、それが見える者には妄想にしか見えんだけだ。女のお前には未来など見えん。
God damn it! Throughout episode 4, I kept on losing my mind because I couldn't understand what was going on. I feel much more despair now the more I hear Krauss. my entire feelings throughout the entirety of episode 4. God damn it, Krauss! God fucking damn it! Krauss! Krauss! You're an idiot! You're a fool! You're an absolute fool!
女の私には未来など見えません。でも現在なら見えます。私の目の前で狡猾な二枚舌の詐欺師たちに丸め込まれ、騙されてなお妄信している哀れな夫の姿なら見ることができます。
Get him, Natsuhi! Get him!
誰？お前には金持ち業も経済も何もわからん。夫の仕事に口は出すな。妻は家事だけをしてればいい。お前は黙っていろ。
Fuck you, Krauss. Fuck you. You're an idiot! You're an absolute idiot! And kind of an ass. You're kind of an ass with what you're saying right here. You're kind of being an ass right now. God damn it. Krauss, you fucking idiot! You're a fucking idiot! Without another word, Natsuhi fell silent, just as Krauss wanted. She was already far beyond anger and sadness. Just leave him. And the emotion that lay on the other side of those was an almost indifferent pity. Krauss had always been frightened of Kinzo since the days of his youth, and had come to subconsciously admire the way his father lived. Without realizing it, he had come to believe that he could only be recognized as a man in his own right if he surpassed his father. However, Kinzo had been a mad genius, the likes of which had never before been seen in the Ushiromiya family's long history. His talent was a gift from heaven, and it definitely wasn't genetic, much less something that could be learned. Oh, fuck. Ugh. Natsuhi, I'm so fucking sorry you have to deal with him. I'm so fucking sorry you have to deal with this idiot. I'm so fucking sorry you have to deal with this misogynistic moron. You deserve better. You deserve better than this. You deserve better than this. God fucking damn it. Oh, god damn it. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Krauss, you're a fucking idiot. Poor Natsuhi. Poor Natsuhi. She does not deserve this. She does not deserve this, man. Space. Travel in 1986. 1986 was not a good year in space. Seriously, I am just about to end this video because I cannot handle just the stupidity I just saw. I can't even handle the stupidity I just saw. How? It's not even, it's the first chapter of this episode and I'm already broken. Natsuhi instructed the servants not to tell anyone about Kinzo's death, and dismiss everyone for the time being, to give the two of them a chance to talk alone. Melody, instrumental version. Then, she invited Krauss to her bedroom, and made him tell her everything about their current financial situation. There were things that Natsuhi had been told about under the assumption that a woman had no business of knowing. Natsuhi had herself made a point of avoiding this area in the past, thinking that it wasn't a wise place to intrude on such matters. However, this might have also meant that she had been remiss in her duty as a wife to protect her family. The depths of this sin had been made quite clear to Natsuhi. Krauss was probably tired of trying to defend himself. Perhaps he had gotten a headache. He hid his face and sank into silence. Talk about headaches. There's no reason... Okay, you know what? I see the reason why now. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I see the reason why now. Natsuhi continuously has headaches. She just has to fucking deal with all of Krauss's bullshit all day. So, yeah, I see the reason why she has all these headaches. God. I can't even think straight now because I have a headache now. God damn it, Krauss. Natsuhi noticed that the water in the electric kettle was boiling and stood up to refill her cup with black tea. And when she touched the cup of black tea, she noticed for the first time. The sound of the cup and saucer clinking together told her that her fingers were shaking. Krauss had built up a large debt to obtain funds for his various projects, and to cover the losses when they failed. Of course, he had put the mansion and property up as collateral. However, doing such a thing above board would have resulted in the mortgage being registered. In other words, there would have been a record that Krauss had put Kinzo's wealth up as collateral to obtain a loan without anyone's permission. Krauss couldn't afford for Kinzo, Ava, and the others to learn of such a thing. Therefore, he had been putting those assets up as collateral using the worst possible method.
権利書と委任状を預けた。
それはどういう意味ですか?
What Krauss was saying probably meant that he had, in essence, signed away the rights to their assets. God damn it. God damn it. If those assets had been used as collateral for a loan, then Krauss would have had some options under the law. He would have to deal with a bank, which would have absolutely no compassion. God damn it. But they would have been able to work something out within the rules set by society. However, signing away the deed and power of attorney was a whole different story. In short, even the mansion they were living in was at risk. God. I shouldn't be laughing. Like, God. He basically fucked himself. Like, I'm laughing at this man who just fucked himself because he's such an idiot. And now, his wife and daughter, and probably the servants as well, are all going to have to suffer because of just his stupidity! I have never reached this level of disappointment in my life. I've never reached this level of disappointment in my life. God damn it, Krauss. God damn it, Krauss. In short, even the mansion they were living in was at risk. If the person holding the deed were to decide to ignore his agreement with Krauss and sell the mansion to a third party right this moment, they would have no recourse whatsoever. Far from using their house as collateral for a loan, this was basically the same as selling it to borrow money.
Ushiromiya家の生殺与奪は金貸したちの手に委ねられていたわけですね。彼らがほんのわずかの気まぐれを起こして突然この家を売り払ったら
Steady pace.
私たちは今すぐにも荷物をまとめ出ていかなくてはならないということですね。
理屈上はそうだ。だが取引の相手はいずれも社会的信用のある人物ばかりだ。サラ金じゃないぞ。経済人同士の信用取引だ。
You mentioned that this is between economically literate men. I don't think you're that literate in economics class if you are calling this stupid shit. I'm not even an expert on money. I'm not even an expert on money. But I'm able to understand just how stupid Klaus just is. I'm able to recognize how stupid he is.
私も相手を信用している。相手だって私に金を貸すことで私が大きな事業を成功させ、投資した額が大きくなって返ってくることを信用している。
I can understand why Kinzo is disappointed in you.
委任状を預けたのは私の誠意と事業の絶対の成功を疑わないからだ。ここで渋ったらどうなる？自分の事業に自分で自信が持てないことになるだろう。
I think your problem is your confidence. If your ventures had been successful, we wouldn't be in debt now, would we? Yes. Natsuhi only barely stopped herself from saying it. No, girl, just say it. Fucking say it to this moron. Say it, Natsuhi. Call him out. Fucking call him out. This episode's practically just gonna be called Klaus is an idiot. Klaus is an idiot. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna call this video, because Klaus is a fucking idiot. And Natsuhi deserves better. She deserves better. Like, I give her respect for at least trying to, I give her respect for, just dealing with this idiot. But I feel so bad that she has to deal with this idiot.
お父様は亡くなりました。するとどうなりますか？あなたの借金が白日のもととなり、他の兄弟たちに咎められることになるわけですか
？Yeah, I have full-on support for the siblings now to screw over Klaus. Though Natsuhi and Jessica don't deserve it, so no, I don't full-on support it, but I can understand their reasonings as to why they would, crush Klaus in anger, because he fucking sold their assets! He fucking sold all their assets! Jessica and Natsuhi don't deserve to get the wrath of everyone, but Klaus full-on deserves it. I feel so bad for the two of them. And honestly, Klaus deserves everything that would come to him if the murder stuff didn't happen. He kinda deserved it, I'm gonna be honest here. Cause come on, dude. You need some responsibility for your stupid actions. Like, you need to take responsibility. I'm sorry, this episode is just mainly me ranting about Klaus and repeating myself several times. I'm sorry, so I'm just gonna get back to the game, but god damn it, Klaus.
それだけでは済まない。多分、刑事訴訟にも及ぶだろう。
As it should!
刑事訴訟？どうしてですか？
君は知らない方がいい。とにかく、絶対にこのことを誰にも知られてはならぬと。
Klaus looked at the floor shamefully, shaking his head over and over. If it would come to criminal charges, then he must have broken some laws. Yeah, embezzlement. Embezzlement. And fucking putting your father's assets on collateral without his permission. Isn't that basically a felony? Yeah, fucking he committed several felonies out of his stupidity! he had probably been so intent on raising a large sum of money that he hadn't paid any heed to appearances. Krauss had seriously believed that his many projects would definitely succeed and return huge profits. So he had figured that even if he broke a few laws, he would be able to pay everything back before too long and pretend that the whole thing had never happened. This might have lessened his resistance towards breaking a couple of laws. And now Kinzo's death, the worst possible thing, had occurred, and soon he wouldn't be able to keep it all hidden. I don't even, even without Kinzo dying, I don't think he would be successful in getting away with all this shit.
私たちはどうなるのですか？
心配することはない。君は信じてくれんな。景気は今確実に上向いているんだ。私が都心で投資した不動産価値はみるみる上昇している。今それらを統合して巨大ビジネスタワーを建設する計画が進んでいる。これは私のこれまでの投資の中で最も確実で最も大きな成功をしているものだ。ただそれは身をつけるのにまだ時間をかける。絶対に確実だが今すぐというわけではないのだ。
その事業の成功は借金を返済するに足りるものですか？
もちろんだと思う。
This is the face of a man who knows he's screwed.
これまでの借金をすべて帳消しにできる。だから信じてくれ。もう少しだけ時間が欲しいんだ。
That is the face of a man who knows he's screwed.
しかしお父様はもうお亡くなりになってしまいました。もうその時間はないのですよ。
分かっている。分かっているとも。だからどこかから金を調達して今すぐに借金を返さなくてはならない。とにかく金が必要なんだ。金が大量に今すぐ。
Krauss roared and clutched his head, writhing about as if in pain. As Natsuhi watched, several conflicting emotions swirled about in her chest. She felt pity for her husband, but at the same time, she felt he was a fool. That is the perfectly reasonable feeling to have. That's a perfectly reasonable feeling to have. Like, you have to pity the idiot, but also, you gotta acknowledge, he put this upon himself because of his stupidity. And she also felt a mixture of anger and regret towards her own irresponsibility and letting her husband run wild for so long. It should have been clear to him, well before today, that they were in a very critical situation. And yet, he had irresponsibly waited for this moment to come, and was now writhing about. Her husband was so foolish and pitiful. It was easy to feel frustrated with him. I feel like you should be frustrated at him. However, she was his wife. For a wife to ridicule her husband as a fool would run in conflict with her responsibilities. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. If he was a fool, then she would have to support him to compensate. At the same time, I feel like she should be allowed to fucking admonish her husband for being such a moron. She has all the right to fucking be angry at him. He fucking fucked himself over, herself over, their daughter over, and their fucking family over. However, she didn't have a clue what she meant to do about this. What she was meant to do about this. If there was a massive amount of money like that within easy reach, there is no way that Krauss wouldn't have already laid his hands on it. It would also be easy to tell him to be a man and give up on everything. But that would also run in conflict with her responsibilities. This option's the option that she should be doing. Now, of course, I can't speak for Natsuhi. And yeah, I know she really does like Krauss, but... you have all the rights to be mad at him. You have all the rights to be mad at him. And you should not feel responsible to continue on, supporting him despite how much you know he's an idiot. Fucking tell him to his face that he's an idiot. Fucking tell him to his face that he's an idiot. My disappointment towards Krauss cannot be measured. She was Ushiromiya Natsuhi, the woman who had become Krauss's wife and sworn to support him, the new head of the Ushiromiya family for as long as she lived. She had to somehow help her husband in his efforts to raise money. She understood it logically, but she couldn't suppress the indescribable feeling of dejection that seemed to rise up from the dark depths of her heart.
そうだ。親父の隠し黄金。10トンの黄金なら200億の価値がある。あれさえあれば、そうさ、あれさえ見つかれば万事は解決する。
And I feel like you're gonna fucking just waste all that money as well. I don't trust you with the gold, man. Krauss should not get the gold because I know he's gonna lose the gold somehow, even though it's 20 billion yen. He's gonna somehow fuck it all up from what I'm seeing now.
夏日、あれだ、魔女の碑文だ。あれを解こう、一緒に解こう。黄金さえ見つかれば万事解決なんだ。そうさ、この島のどこかに隠されてるはずなんだ。あれさえあれば、あれさえあれば。
一体あなた、やめてください。
Krauss, acting as excited as if he thought up of a perfect, brilliant plan, grasps Natsuhi's upper arm tightly. Natsuhi couldn't help but be dumbfounded. It wasn't just because she'd heard something as fake sounding as the hidden gold brought up. Krauss usually disparaged the story of the hidden gold, saying that it didn't exist, and that it was all a fiction his father had created to borrow a lot of money. He's the one saying this. He's the one saying that the story was fake, and it's just all something that his father had created, a fabrication from Kinzo to get a lot of money. Krauss is the one saying that! Krauss is the one saying that! So, hidden gold is less believable than fucking moon tourism! That makes sense! Natsuhi was doubly taken aback because of this.
そうだ、ジェシカにも協力してもらおう。
Oh, God.
子供の感性でなら解けることもあるかもしれない。今は一家の一大事なんだ。みんなで協力し合わなくてはならない。そうだ、あんなの親父が作った気まぐれな謎なんだ。解けるはずさ、解けないはずがないんだ。それしかないんだ。ああ、夏日、本当によかった。まだ手は残っていたんだよ。こんなに身近に。この島に黄金はある。それさえあれば万事解決なんだ。
Fuck. God, how am I feeling a little bit bad for Krauss? he's just so desperate because he just fucked himself over. His desperations make me feel a little bit bad for him. Ah!
夏日、ジェシカを呼ぶんだ。今すぐここに。家族の危機は家族で乗り越えよう。さあ早く。黄金はこの島にある。すぐ身近にあるんだ。
I mean, he's not wrong, but... Natsuhi knocked Krauss aside, unable to withstand the pain in the arm he was twisting in his excitement. Krauss tipped over the edge of the bed and flung pathetically onto the floor.
いい加減にしてください。そしてどうか冷静になられてください。後宮家の一大事にそんな夢みたいなことを言い出してどうするというのですか。
夏日、
あなたもよく頭を冷やされて現実的な金策をお考えになってください。私も頭を冷やしてきます。
待ってくれ、夏日。
Baby falling over had knocked the sense back into him. Krauss tried to tell Natsuhi to stop, but she just kept walking. Closing the door forcefully, Natsuhi dashed away. Natsuhi ran through the corridor. She didn't want anyone to see her like this, but she ran headlong into Genji.
大変失礼いたしました。奥様、お怪我はございませんか？
私は大丈夫です。放っておきなさい。
かしこまりました。
源氏、お父様の書斎はどうなっていますか？
そのままにしております。南條先生は客間におられますが。
そうですか。書斎の鍵は持っていますか？
はい、ございます。
お貸しなさい。しばらく私とお父様の二人きりにするように。もし主人に私のことを聞かれても知らないというのですよ。
かしこまりました。
After grabbing the key to the study that Genji was holding out to her, Natsuhi rushed up the stairs. She then flew into the study, and finally, she cried out loud.
お父様、愚かな私たちをどうかお許しください。
World End EP。
私と主人はお父様の築き上げてきたものを受け継ぐことができます。罪深く愚かな私たちをどうかお許しください。そしてもしお許しいただけるならば、どうか愚かな私たちをお導きください。
Clinging to Kinzo as he slept in the bed, Natsuhi cried even harder. She kept imagining Kinzo sitting up suddenly and patting her head. Oh. No, father isn't the type of person to pamper. More likely, he'd yell at me to stop being so noisy. However, neither of these imaginations would come true, because it was an undeniable fact that Kinzo had entered an eternal sleep. But even so, Natsuhi begged the sleeping Kinzo to forgive and help them. It had only been a few hours since his passing. Perhaps his soul was still here, listening to her. Believing this, Natsuhi begged for Kinzo's forgiveness and help even more earnestly.
やかましいぞ。
What?
私は沈黙を尊ぶといつも言っている。
Is witch stuff going on, or is she imagining Kinzo? Or did Kinzo not exactly die right there? I think it's the second option. I don't think Kinzo's alive, nor witch stuff is going on. But maybe this is just the inner Kinzo voice in Natsuhi's head because of all the stress that's going on right now. World End. Oh, it's not BP. That voice made Natsuhi jump up in surprise. There he is. The man himself. Hey there. When she faced in the direction that the voice had come from, she saw Kinzo sitting at the study desk, folding up his reading glasses.
またクラウスと喧嘩をしたのか。嫁をいたわらぬとはクラウスに私の悪いところばかりを受け継ぎよる。
Congratulations for pointing out that that's a bad thing to do. Congratulations is saying that that's a bad thing.
Otto-sama.
なんというみそぼらしい顔か。顔を洗え。仮にも後宮家次期当主の妻ではないか。
Oh, this is way too nice to actually be Kinzo. This is not the real Kinzo. This is way too... Well, maybe Kinzo might be actually a nice man. He might have seemed to be, but maybe when he aged, he might have became a nicer person. No, that's not likely. Honestly, I can't tell what Kinzo's personality is supposed to be because he's been dead in these past few games, so I don't even know what kind of personality he's actually supposed to have. Whether he was actually not that bad of a person in his older years, or he became worse, I can't tell, actually. But I think this is not likely the real Kinzo that Natsuhi's interacting with right now.
そんな情けない面を使用人に見せてはならぬぞ。
はい、お父様。失礼しました。
Yeah, I don't have a feeling that this is the real Kinzo. I have the feeling this is not the real one. Natsuhi understood. This was just an illusion, one that Natsuhi had created from her desire to speak with Kinzo, and her memories of the man as he once was. No, that's not it. She believed that just for now, Kinzo's soul had shown itself to her. She was sure that doubting this would cause it to vanish in an instant.
当主の座が継承されたと同時に早速厄介事が起きたようだな。
Yep, that seems to be the case.
はい、お父様。夫を支えることができませんでした。本当に申し訳ありません。
つくづく後宮家は呪われている。
I agree with that.
私が当主を継承した時もそれはひどいものだった。お前たちの苦難などまだまだ可愛いものだ。
What? Kinzo's succession to the family headship came suddenly. At the time, he was nothing more than a young man from one of the branch families, far separated from the Ushiromiya main family. The main family might have had honor and tradition, but that was of no relevance at all to Kinzo, and he couldn't have cared less. Then, the principal members of the main family were wiped out in the Great Kanto earthquake, along with their businesses. On top of that, there was a complicated antagonism between the members of the family at the time. Hey! Complicated antagonism between the members? I don't think that's changed. And the elders were all trying to impose their will on the others in that sinking ship. Because of this, they weren't even able to elect a leader to rebuild the Ushiromiya family. They found a common ground by selecting Kinzo, a youth with absolutely no ties to any of the opposing elders, to be the head. So the elders hadn't really entrusted Kinzo with the rebuilding of the Ushiromiya family. Kinzo had been nothing more than their puppet, with his arms and legs being pulled in opposite directions.
はい、お父様の苦難の日々はよく存じております。
そして戦争が始まった。当時の私はもう生きていくことに疲れ果てていた。戦場で死ねればと願ったが、前線には送られなかった。しかし日に日に戦況が悪化し、本土決戦の時が近づいてきていた。私は不謹慎にもその日が早くやってくることを願っていた。
It was said that Kinzo listened to Death's approaching footsteps day in and day out. He started cutting his ties with this world, one by one. And then, on that day, when he had freed himself from all his attachments to life, and reached a state of enlightenment, he had a mystical experience. And he met her, the Gold Witch, Beatrice.
私は魔女と契約を交わし、黄金と狂気の力を与えられた。その日を境に古き私は死に、狂気の魔力を得た新しき私が誕生したのだ。
存じております。そして戦後、お父様は天才的辣腕にて後宮家を復興させるのです。
The now deceased elders, who knew Kinzo at the time, had whispered to each other that Kinzo must have taken a knock to the head on the battlefield and returned with a different personality. That was how much Kinzo stood out after the war. Whether the story about Kinzo meeting a witch was true or not, there could be no doubt that the extraordinary experience of war had prepared him for death and let him reach a state of enlightenment. Natsuhi must surely have felt that if Kinzo had decided to describe that resulting mystical experience as a meeting with a witch, that wasn't something she could flatly dispute.
そうですね。お父様は戦争からお帰りになり、魔女ベアトリーチェを従え、真の意味での後宮家当主となられたのです。
I am really curious to know what the actual story is. I'm really curious to figure out what this actual story is, because that's going to be one of the answers that will come up. I'm really curious what the actual answer to this is.
そうだ。ベアトリーチェに出会う以前の私は、当主と呼ばれるだけの人形に過ぎ。私は黄金の魔女を従えて初めて当主たり得たのだ。
お父様、その黄金の魔女は新しき当主である夫クラウスには力を貸してくださらないのでしょうか。
You might just want to give up on Krauss. He's a lost cause.
貸すであろうな。真に当主を継承したならば。
真に継承するとはどういう意味ですか。
真の意味で後宮家の当主としての責任と誇りを持てるかどうかということだ。夏日、お前ならば分かっているはず。当主とは血で継承されるものではない。魂と信念によって継承されるのだ。クラウスが我が長男であっても、それがなくては真の当主とは呼べない。 そしてそれが心に宿されていたなら、その人間はたとえクラウスでなくとも立派な新しき当主である。黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェはその真の当主に力を貸すであろう。そうであるな、ベアトリーチェ。
No fucking way. Is she in the room? Is she in the room? No? She's coming. She's coming. Far. When Kinzo called the witch's name, gold butterflies seethed out of every corner of the room. This fantastical scene had an otherworldly beauty to it. It was like standing in the midst of a blizzard of golden flower petals being blown about by a rose garden of gold. As Natsuhi stared at this scene in shock, the gold butterflies gathered and formed the human shape. Hey, there you are! Then, the witch of the portrait appeared.
いかにもわらわこそが後ろ宮家顧問錬金術師黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェである。
You indeed are.
わらわは奔放にして自由。誰の命令も聞かぬ。
それを世界でたった一人、私だけが支配した。だからこそ後ろ宮家の当主たり得るのだ。
その傲慢さこそが後ろ宮家当主の資格だというか。
傲慢とはすなわち自信であり勇気である。そしてそれに見合う力を得ようとする悪なき向上心の表れである。だからこそ私はお前を支配した。
傲慢を語る男がそれを実現していく様を見るのは心地よいものだ。不言実行は強運なる者の言い訳に過ぎぬ。真の王者は持たぬ者さえも語る。そしてその傲慢を確かに実現してみせるのだ。わらわを支配できる者にはその王者の傲慢が必要だ。
わかるか、夏日よ。真の王者はあらゆる苦難を恐れぬ。必ず乗り越えられると公言する。その算段がなくともだ。だから弱者は希望を持つ。集い、あがめ、協力を誓う。
You know, for an imaginary Kinzo and Beatrice, they're giving Natsuhi pretty good advice. So her subconscious must be, you know, thinking this through quite well, if this is how you can interpret the scene. The scene could also be interpreted as, well, they're actually there talking with her, but that's less than likely what's going on.
そこに力が生まれ、有言は実行されるのだ。それを心に刻め。
はい、お父様。
Natsuhi understood. Through this mystical experience, Kinzo was teaching her the attitude required to overcome hardship, even after his own death. Feeling a warm sensation rise up in her chest, she let the valuable words Kinzo had given her echo through her mind over and over. A true monarch, in other words, the true head of the Ushiromiya family, was not to fear hardship. They had to believe that they could overcome any hardship. If they could not believe themselves capable, then there was no reason why they would be. Natsuhi suddenly felt very ashamed of the way she had come into this room, sobbing and asking Kinzo what to do.
私は愚かでした。後ろ宮家の一大事に泣き言を言う暇などあるわけもありません。そして お父様から後宮家を引き継いだ以上、私たちは何があってもその名誉を守り抜きます。
ほう、どうやってクラウスの借金を返済するか、その青写真も描けぬのにか。
As Beatrice laughed unpleasantly. No, that wasn't it. She was testing Natsuhi to see whether she possessed the mental readiness to be a true monarch. Natsuhi didn't hesitate anymore. She answered clearly, gazing into Beatrice's eyes.
はい、今はどうすればいいのか、その方法をまだ見つけることはできません。しかし、私の夫は新しき後宮家の当主であり、私はそれを支える妻です。ですから、夫に代わり、私が宣言します。
聞こ
う。後宮クラウスと夏日は、必ずやこの苦難を乗り越え、後宮家の名誉を守ってみせます。お父様にご心配をおかけすることはありません。
クラウスの借金の規模と惨憺たる状況については知っておるな。
はい、この屋敷さえも明日には立ち退けと命じられても拒めぬという最悪の状況です。遺産分配となれば親族たちに刑事告発さえされるかもしれません。しかし心配には及びません。そうなる前に借金を全て返済し、名誉を取り戻します。
As she stood at attention with a resolute attitude, Natsuhi proclaimed this clearly with Ushiromiya Kinzo and Beatrice as witnesses. For a while, they remained silent, as though weighing Natsuhi's resolve. Then Kinzo chuckled and turned away.
おし、なぜにこやつが我が息子ではなかったのか。
その資質を持つ女を息子がめとったことさえ、これもまたそなたの強運よ。
ベアトリーチェ、私の最後の命令だ。
当主でないそなたの命令をもはや聞き切りはないぞ。
ほう、ならば新しき後宮家当主の命令に従え。
そなたはすでに当主でなく、クラウスは未だ当主ではない。わらわは誰に仕えよというのか。
Natsuhi?
お前にそれを委ねる。後宮家の当主を受け継ぐ資格があるかどうか、そして片翼のわしの紋章を背負うにふさわしいかどうか、お前が確かめるのだ。
断るぞ。当主でなき男の命令など聞けぬわ。
いや違うぞ。これは遺言である。当主が残したお前への最後の命令である。
ならば従わぬわけにはいかぬか。わらわもつくづく付き合いがよい。
違うな。
ほう、
興味を持ったからであろうが。
つくづくそなたには隠し事ができんな。
Nope.
夏日、
はい、お父様。
乗り越えてみよ、この苦難を。
はい。
To Natsuhi, that might have been nothing more than a simple response. But to Kinzo and Beatrice, it seemed to carry much greater significance. Beatrice nodded deeply, and with emotion as elegant as her dress, she bowed deeply before Natsuhi.
後宮家顧問錬金術師、黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ、ここに後宮家の苦難を再び乗り越えるため、そなたの力となろうぞ。
ありがとう。あなたの力が必要です。私たちは必ずこの苦難を乗り越えます。
そのために助力は惜しまぬが、先に断らねばならぬ。かつて金蔵の窮地を救ったように、そなたに再び莫大な黄金を与えれば、この度の苦難は解決することは分かっている。しかし、それはできぬのだ。
そうですか。
すまんな、夏日。ベアトリーチェの黄金は私一代限りという契約なのだ。そしてそれを受け継ぐためには魔女の碑文を解かねばならぬのが取り決め。
黄金は碑文にて封じられている。だからそれを解けぬ限り、そなたに黄金の魔法は与えられぬ。
わかりました。ならば他の方法でこの窮地を脱する方法を模索しましょう。主人は時間をかけるとは言っていますが、必ず借金は返済できると言っています。そのための時間を得ることができれば、この苦難は乗り越えられます。
よいぞ夏日、続けよ。
しかし金蔵はもう死んでいるぞ。医者と使用人は葬儀の準備。そなたは親族たちにその連絡だ。そなたは自らその金策の猶予時間を終わらせる宣言をすることになる。自ら刃を下ろす断頭台も愉快なものよ。
Natsuhi gasped and looked up at the ceiling. There wasn't actually anything there. But even so, Natsuhi had found something.
降りたか、魔力が。
Oh, wait a second. I think I understand what's going on here. It wasn't Krauss who came up with the faking Kinzo's death idea. It was Natsuhi who came up with it.
夏日、決まったか。わらわに望む奇跡の魔法が。
No? Well then, EP. All of those who had witnessed Kinzo's corpse were once again gathered in the study. Krauss was still very unsettled and clutching at his head. Genji was as expressionless as ever. Nanjo and Kumasawa wore bewildered expressions on their faces. But, in stark contrast to all of them, Natsuhi's expression was resolute.
あなたにもう一度お尋ねします。金策は間違いないのですね。
1年、いや、せめて半年あれば必ず見れる計画なんだ。しかし今すぐにはどうしても無理なんだ。
ならばそれを待ちましょう。
しかしお前も言ったぞ。親父はもう死んでしまった。
Here you go.
お父様はお亡くなりになどなっていませんよ。まだこうしてご健在であられます。
When Natsuhi said this, everyone looked up, instantly startled, because they immediately understood what those words meant. However, Krauss alone didn't get it right away and had to ask.
それはどういう意味だね。親父はもう現にそこに。
繰り返します。お父様は未だにご健在であられます。ご自身の研究がお忙しいので、これまで以上に書斎を出ることはできません。 ですから私たちはお父様が研究に専念できるように外務をすべて執り行い、お父様に不要なお仕事が及ばないようにしなくてはなりません。つまりそれはこれまでと何ら変わらないということ。理解できていますね、源氏。
はい。片翼のわしの家具はこれからも親方様にお仕えいたします。
熊沢、そして南條先生、私の話は理解できましたね。
え、そ
れでいいのかね、夏日さん。
お父様は確かに今日お亡くなりになったかもしれません。しかし今この場にいる私たち全員が信じることで、お父様を蘇らせる魔法を使うことができます。
I wonder what Jessica's doing during all this. What is she doing during all this?
無理ですよ、奥様。そんないくらなんでも。
解剖すれば死亡時期を特定される。不審がられることは避けられん。
お父様はお亡くなりにならないのですから、解剖などされる言われはありませんよ。
Of course, she wasn't planning to make Kinzo live forever. The fake life given to Kinzo would only last until Krauss could repay his debts. After that, Kinzo's soul would finally be able to sleep in peace. Nanjo repeated himself that the time of death would be discovered during the autopsy, but Natsuhi said again that this wouldn't be a problem.
お父様は死亡届によってお亡くなりになるのではありません。
そうか。失踪届か。
After clapping his hands together, Krauss stood up, shaking his fist.
そうです。借金が無事に返済でき、お父様にお休みいただける準備が整ったなら、その時にお父様の失踪を宣言します。
Orokinjima's vast, uncultivated forest was the perfect place to stage a disappearance. One day, Kinzo would go out to the forest for a walk and never return. They would search for him without success, and then be forced to report his disappearance.
失踪なら死体がなくても死亡届を出せる。つまり死亡時期を隠せるということだ。どうだ、南條先生。これなら何の問題もない。
It still is as suspicious as fuck, but this is the only option you two have really right now, when I think about it. This is the only option they have. But still, it definitely seems fishy. This plan does.
確かに、そういうことにはなりますが。
それで良いのですか、奥様。確かに私たちが黙っていれば、親方様がお亡くなりになられたのは秘密にできるかもしれません。ですが、どこでどう間違って誰かに知られないとも。
熊沢、声が大きいです。お父様はあちらでお休み中なのですよ。起こしてしまわれるつもりですか？
It isn't a corpse. Kinzo is sleeping. As Natsuhi said that, Kinzo lay quietly on the bed, as though there was nothing at all odd about her words. This is getting me to think. Wouldn't someone be at least able to, smell him decomposing during all this? Like, that room's gonna smell terrible because he's gonna have to decompose. Unless, there's no way that room would, allow for a body to stay kind of fresh in it. He's going to decompose in that room. Okay. 24 to 72 hours after death, the internal organs decompose. 3 to 5 days after death, the body starts to bloat and blood-containing foam leaks out from the nose and mouth. 8 to 10 days after death, the body turns from green to red as the blood decomposes and the organs in the abdomen accumulate gas. Several weeks after death, nails and teeth fall out. 1 month after death, the body starts to liquefy. How did they get away with this? How did no one, manage to catch on to what they were doing by just, smelling the air around them? Well, of course, the only person that would catch them would probably be Jessica, and that depends on how much she, goes nearby Kinzo's room. Maybe they could get away with this, actually, but the smell, though. The smell. If someone walks by that room, they're gonna smell a body decomposing. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with this plan that I'm seeing right now. And I'm surprised that, they weren't caught earlier. Oh, I see a portal. And now it's day. Cage.
さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。そなたがどんな姿をしていたのか。そなたがどんな日々を謳歌していたのか。
What's going on here? Once again, a storm of gold butterflies started to swirl, covering Kinzo's cold body. Then, after the butterflies exploded into fine gold powder and disappeared. Just like those fairy tales that have been told over and over since long ago, Kinzo slowly opened his eyes and sat up.
お父様。
So that's how they got away with it.
Natsuhi.
That's how they got away with it. Beatrice kept on reviving him every day.
先に我が名誉のために断っておくぞ。私は生への執着からそなたにこれをそそのかしたのではない。
嘘つきめ。多少は予見していたであろうが。どうだ金蔵。体の方は。
悪くはないが、どこか夢の中のような感じだ。重みがないな。
この世にとどまることを許されぬ存在が未だとどまっているのだ。多少の不自由は諦めよ。
お体は本当に大丈夫なのですか？本当に大丈夫なのですか？
むしろ心地よいくらいだ。これが死後の世界の感覚ならば、幽霊気取りも捨てたものではないぞ。
Oh, so he doesn't mind being a ghost.
これにてどうか、夏日。金蔵はよみがえった。故に葬儀は不要。そなたの苦難はこれにて解決だ。
ベアトリーチェ。
As Natsuhi tried to find words of gratitude, Beatrice waggled her index finger and spoke.
感謝の言葉はいらぬぞ。支配者は傲慢であればよい。わらわは頼みは聞かぬが、命令には従うのでな。
それでも言います。ありがとう。これで主人のために時間が稼げます。あとは私たちの仕事です。
しかし夏日、確かに金蔵はよみがえったが、それは永遠ではない。
Sorry about that.
我が魔力が続く限りである。半魔法の毒素により魔法は破られてしまうかもしれぬことを心せよ。魔法の断りを正しく理解し、その維持に努めよ。わらわはそなたに奇跡を見せるが、それをつかみとどめるのはそなたの役目だ。
無論です。あなたにもらったこの奇跡を私たちは決しておろそかにしません。
それでよい。なるほどな。 主と畳は新しい方がいいというのは本当らしい。気に入った。わらわはそなたに仕えようぞ。後ろ宮夏日。我こそは後宮家顧問錬金術師黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ。いつでも我が名を呼ぶがいい。さすれば現れ、わらわはそなたに奇跡を授けるであろう。
Interesting.
ありがとう。私は後宮夏日。あなたを刺激し、後宮家の名誉を守ります。
Oh, and that's the end of the chapter. Umineko no Nakukori ni Chiru. Nocturne of Truth and Illusions. A proper mystery. The family conference of the previous year, October 5th, 1985. Oh! Interesting. So the conference of last year is going to be shown. Interesting. Wait a second. Is Kinzo already dead by the previous year's conference? Wait, was he already dead in 1985? He was already dead in 1985, wasn't he? Oh my god. So, it's been basically a year since Kinzo's been dead by the time of 1986. How have they not been discovered? How in the hell have they not been discovered? That's my question. How have they not been discovered for what they're doing? Bodies smell when they decompose. If someone goes by Kinzo's study, they're gonna smell decomposition. Natsuhi and Krauss must have some sort of magic on their side. Or a lot of air fresheners.
Okay.